What is going on, guys? It's Adam, aka Marf, and this is a very special episode of Marfoogle News. We're going to talk about, of course, part 2 of what China may be doing right now. We're also going to be talking about, of course, how they are calling out the U.S. and the submarine accident, which tells us something may have really went down. Again, that's what a lot of us called, but we'll talk about that here in just a minute. We'll be right back right after these messages. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today we have a lot to talk about in a short amount of time. So for anyone who is new, remember you can go to our website and find the bibliography for today's show. We make sure to back up every single article, tweet, document, picture that we show you here. If it's a video, the link is going to be on our website. In fact, it's very easy to navigate over on our website. You just look for today's thumbnail. Of course, huge mishap by the USA. Again, if you didn't get that. And then once you click on that thumbnail, you will find that all of the links are there. So if you want to grab a second device and grab some popcorn and watch the world burn, feel free to go ahead and do so. All of the links are here. And then down at the bottom, there is web-only content, basically stuff that is too hot for TV. That is a whole nother show. There's some tweets and videos down there that, of course, are copyrighted and way too far off for us to cover neutrally. And then if you do want to support us in any way, over on the right side of the screen is ways to do so. Speaking of which, William S., thank you for just about 2.5 minutes ago for dropping a $2 PayPal in there. And then Jeanette T. and Jacob Networks, thank you guys so much for going over to PayPal during the show. Or it looks like Jacob did it before. So thank you guys. I really appreciate that. Thank you for supporting Dex and I in our ventures. We are trying to expand, so that does help. Thank you guys. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex. How are you doing today, and what is going on?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Frugal fam. I'm doing just fine.
So you will be on the phones tonight. We are going to take a couple callers during this very special episode just to kind of break it down. This is going to be some of the normal news, and then we're going to get into part 2 of what China may be doing. Of course, targeted and very specific gene weapons. And this is some pretty serious stuff that we're going to go over. So at a certain point, I'm going to tell you, that if you're easily kind of fearful of these kind of things, I'll let you know when we get to that point. So if you do want to tune out, you can. A lot of the stuff that's going on right now is actually pretty scary, to be honest. So I'll give you warning before we get to covering that. And then also a lot of the stuff that we talked about yesterday. China just launched a fractional orbital bombardment system. That's what the experts say that it was. They're, of course, denying it, but it was, of course, a thing that went all the way around the world. It went right over us, and it was not discovered until afterwards. If that was a nuke with an EMP, that would have hit us. So that's a huge thing. The new system that they just came out with, the new system that they just possibly tested and most likely tested, their experts and the White House is even saying that we believe it was this. hugely destabilizes everything, because now they're worried about every single satellite being a nuke or an EMP. These things can basically glide into the atmosphere, go boom, and knock out all the lights. And then we would do the rest of the jobs by ourselves. Again, if you wanted to take out a country, just turn off the lights for a long-term period. Most of the other stuff will be done on its own, like lack of water and everything else. Awakened by Faith, thank you so much for dropping a super chat early in the show. And then Catherine Wilson, before the show even started, dropped a $5 super chat in Marfoogle TV. So thank you so much. Brian Goodwin, Ignato too, and of course, O-Wise Owl, thank you for popping in as well. Thanks for the new subscribers, Natasha Lepore. And Jeff M. Sassy Gal, and It's All Good 365, thank you for being there yesterday. The number to call, if you do want to call in, is 2244-00-MARF. Again, that's 2244-00-MARF. That will be down at the very bottom of the page here. It will be scrolling across. It will be coming in just a second here after that. If you want to share an experience, if you want to share knowledge, as long as it's not going to get you in trouble, then make sure to give us a call, 2244-00-6273. The one with the letters will be going by, and then the numbers next. So this is what they claim. They say the Earth is inside an enormous cosmic tunnel. New research proposes. It says the new model proposes a filament-like magnetic tunnel encompassing the entire solar system, explaining two mysterious features of the sky. Abstract breaks down mind-bending scientific research, future tech, new discoveries, and major breakthroughs. In new research, scientists are proposing that Earth is situated within an enormous magnetized tunnel surrounding the entire solar system. As detailed in a new study accepted for publication at the Astrophysical Journal and uploaded by Exeriv, it says that researchers at the University of Toronto's Dunlop Institute, National Research Council Canada, and the University of British Columbia, this would explain the presence of two large, highly magnetic, filamentary, rope-like structures in the Milky Way with unexplained origins. Astronomers have long been puzzled by what these structures are, said Dr. Jennifer West, research associate at Dunlop Institute, and first author on the report in Email to Motherboard. It says, quote, I hope this is a step towards understanding the magnetic field of our whole galaxy and of the universe. So one thing that I want to say here too is that I've said this over the last year, they came out with other news and other scientific discoveries just this year. I actually commented to somebody when I made a comment about the Mandela Effect, and what this person said, and I actually respected their view on it, said that they thought that the Mandela Effect was that people are they have lost all humility and they just can't look at the fact that they're wrong in the face. So they basically, if you've ever experienced the Mandela Effect, like the Berenstein or Berenstein Bears, or of course, Luke, I am your father, that's not the line. And everybody remembers, Luke, I am your father. That's not the line. That's called the Mandela Effect. If you go back to the movie, it's actually not that line. Again, somebody just had their brain explode right now by me saying that, but if you go and look, it's not. So that's a Mandela Effect. What he said to that was essentially that people can't accept that they're wrong, and he said that it's showing how fast, in general, the entire population's mental stability is declining. And I thought that was actually, that was actually kind of a reasonable thing. Like, if all of us as human beings were mentally, declining as far as intelligence, that would kind of, and our humility is going out the window. So we essentially just won't admit that we're wrong. I said that I don't think so, and I think that human knowledge is doubling every day. As far as this, I told you guys this last year, I found out some stuff that I'm still not going to be able to talk about it because I would get somebody in trouble that is close to me and they would lose their job. But I believe that there are going to be things that come out, and these are discoveries that are already going through their processes. They're going to be shared in the educational systems and things that are going to change the way we look at everything. There was a discovery not too long ago about how matter itself, Dex, do you remember that as far as that story on the dark matter, and basically it's going to change how we look at things in the future? I don't know if you
Yeah. They said something about how it would cause us to redefine how the universe is and how a lot of the calculations that they've used, and
so
things may change.
it would completely change everything. Just last year, they said that the moon was in our atmosphere. Technically, the moon inside the planet's atmosphere. Technically, it's like out in the geocorona, or I forget what the actual term for that part of the sphere or whatever. But there's oxygen molecules out on the moon. And I thought the first thing, again, there was a lot of videos of people like pissed off saying, well, they've lied to us the whole time. And, that's true as well. But, things are going to change, and then we're going to find out, or at least they're going to tell us that things are changing. So just buckle up. I think it's going to get even crazier. I think that, who knows, maybe some of this will be used to, they'll put it in the back of our heads, and then a couple years later down the road, it will be used to change laws or change the way that we have to do things, because if we don't, we're going to ruin something. Who knows? It says the North Polar Spur and the Fan region have long been known as two of the brightest radio-emitting gas structures in the sky, but since their discovery in the 1960s, their exact identity has been the source of perplexion among the scientific community. Though invisible to the human eye, NPS and the Fan region emit strong magnetic radio waves that are large and highly visible through a radio telescope enveloping the solar system. It says if our eyes could see radio light, they would fill almost the entire sky. It says using a computer model that simulates what's visible through a radio telescope, West and her colleagues mapped out the length and position of both of the structures, ultimately piecing together a theory that the two structures are not separate as long as they've been considered, but are part of the same tunnel-like object. So this is, honestly, there's more to come. It says these have been a mystery for astronomers for the past 50 years, and we are the first to propose a model that explains these structures as one single object that surrounds us. Most previous work has studied them individually as two separate and distinct objects. One thing I thought of, I thought of the movie, what was it, Men in Black 2, I think it was, where at the end of the movie, it zooms out of the galaxy, and it ends up the galaxy is in a marble, and the marbles are being played with in a schoolyard with aliens. So aliens are playing marble with our whole galaxy, and that's what it was. In the end of the movie, there is a marble. They have a marble that has a galaxy inside of it. And then at the very end of that, it zooms out, and we're actually in a marble, and aliens are playing in the schoolyard and playing marbles. And it kind of gives you that thing like, what if we were all part of just, totally minuscule atoms in another marble of something? What if we were like in the blood vessel of something, like our entire existence was in the blood vessel of God or in somebody above us? It's just a trippy thing to think of. The way that they describe this kind of reminds me of like a vein or something. Now it says, ever since I first saw a map of the sky as a radio telescope sees it, I have been fascinated by these structures and wondered what they are and what is causing them. Wes says, the first time I made a radio map of our galaxy using a different center point was a really big aha moment for me. I love to spend time looking up at the stars in the sky, thinking about the vastness of the universe. She added, I really wish I could put some radio glasses on some radio glasses so I could see this giant tunnel. But it reminds me that there is so much more out there than what we can see. So this could change things again, another time where we might actually see a huge change in all of the books. What I ended up telling that commenter is that, with Mandela Effect or anything else, and that he ended up relating it to people that follow, Q or something. I didn't understand that. I thought that was kind of like saying that they couldn't admit they're wrong or something, and relating that to the Mandela Effect. Mandela Effect has been studied for years and years and years, if not decades and decades. That same thing. actual scientists, have taken it seriously enough to do studies on it and say that people are experiencing some sort of phenomenon. As far as that's like kind of comparing, a Catholic church to the string theory or something. It's just not that's not a good comparison. And then it says Democrat facing a Republican barrage scales back plans for a crackdown on tax cheating. That's what they call it, at least. It says Democrats on Tuesday bowing to an aggressive lobbying campaign by the banking industry and pushback from Republicans scaled back a B administration plan for the Internal Revenue Service to try to crack down on tax cheats. Now, this was a scary ass part of this whole bill, or whatever the heck this is, and what it was, and what I hope it never gets to the point. Basically, right when your bank account hits 600, which almost anyone who has ever had a bank account will hit 600 at some point. Once it goes over that, they will track every single in and out transfer. So if you withdraw or deposit cash, anything, if you put it in and put it out. Now, this may have been their way, and what's so funny is it seems like there are certain people that kind of want new people just to rush into the country. This would be a good way because those people are allowed and able to open bank accounts. So then you could start taxing the cash-only jobs, right? But it would also be a huge invasion of everyone's privacy. It's going in, every single thing that you do will be tracked by the IRS. And that also makes room for mistakes on the IRS's part. IRS makes mistakes all the time. In fact, just saw a paper like last week, somebody got an extra $1 million tax return or something. That kind of stuff happens. It was a human error. So to leave it to where this point where computers, and you would have to have a lot of computers to track every single transaction of almost everybody with a bank account that has ever hit $600, it would be a huge and just crazy, infiltrating kind of invasion of everyone's bank accounts and everything. It looks like they are pushing back. The banking industry doesn't want it. There's plenty of people that, are probably doing bad things that don't want it as well. But they are apparently changing it to make it as less bad, or hopefully. It says narrows the scope of information. It says the new proposal, which would help pay for the expansive social policy and climate change bill that includes it, narrows the scope of information that banks would have to provide the IRS about customer accounts. Under the revised plan, which is backed by the B administration, banks would be required to provide data on accounts only with the total annual deposits or withdrawals worth more than $10,000, rather than the $600 threshold that was initially proposed. So, by the way, 10,000 is still, it doesn't matter. Pretty much everybody is going to be. Now, Dex, I don't know if you're on.
That hits everybody, dude. I mean, it's nice that they're saying this. I mean, 600 was ridiculous because that is like 99.999% of everybody, right? This is like maybe take not 1 decimal point, but take 1 9 off. It's still everybody. I mean, if you make a living, you make $10,000 a year. Now, they do say they're not going to necessarily count your deposits from your paycheck, but they're talking about withdrawals, so taking money out. So if you've ever taken money, transferred money, sent money, moved money, all of those things in a course of a year, $10,000 threshold is not that high. It actually, is not uncommon for someone to have done that. And it's not per transaction. This is total, right, throughout the course of a year. If you're really trying to go after the rich, which they say they are, that number should have an extra 0 or 2 zeros after it.
Now, I almost wonder if this would be something where I almost wonder if this would be something that, how would I put this? I wonder if this would be something that they would want to happen first before they did anything major, so they would know who has kind of a lot of money pulled out and under their mattress. Because now, obviously, the White House admitted working with Facebook. And then, of course, Facebook admitted that they were kind of doing this thing, looking for people who are too prepared and helping them look for the people behind, January and all that. So I just wonder if this is part of that.
You're spot on. This is really just one of the cogs of the wheel of the social credit score system, right? That we keep talking about, that we sort of blindly say, oh, only China has it. But no, it's actually here. It's evolving here. It's happened from the tech companies. It's happened from, the actions that are happening in, you could even say cancel culture is some form of it. But the fact that they're capturing all this data is basically laying that even more so than a foundation for that, the ability to have that that social credit system, to be able to say, okay, I know what you do. I know what you have. I know how to take this person and turn something off or hurt them, or know what they're, what it means, whether it's their, what they say online, who they associate with, how much money they spend, what they spend their money on. All of that data goes into a big database. And that's, that's what you see in China. And what you're seeing here is the building blocks of all of that coming together.
And now we know countries like Canada have already put it on their government websites, essentially told businesses, hey, here's how to prepare for China's social credit score. That's kind of crazy to me that this is being done so openly in other places. It sounds like, of course, their president is Trudeau is kind of chummy with their leader, or divine emperor, or whatever you want to call him. Winnie the Pooh there. Okay, so that is a good thing, but not really. I mean, most everyone, even if you are minimum wage, you will make $10,000 in a year, or hopefully you will be right about there. But even so, they're going to track everything that you make.
That's appeasement. They got a lot of heat, and they're hoping that this gets the heat off and they can move on and everybody will forget it. No,
I think the heat should still be on. I think that minimum should be 100,000. Then most people that aren't making it, can. I don't know. I that's just freaky to me. I think that should be way, way high. I don't even think it should be there. There should be a different system that, works on that. If you are making cash only, I guess it's almost like they're doing that to tax the drug dealers. Anyways, RMV, thank you so much. Anna McLean, thank you for your support tonight. And then Gabriel Gill and Corey G, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the Frugal fam. Everybody welcome Gabriella Gill and Corey G to the fam. Adventure Prepper says sending love and support. Tara Belay 3, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then over on D-Live, thank you everybody that has popped in so far. Pearl, hi Adam, Dex, and Mods. God bless and keep you. Divine 1122, Chance Paladin, thank you for dropping lemons. And thank you for modding. Kelly2334. Kelly2334. Thank you. Kelly2334 over on D-Live just dropped a Ninjet, which is the highest compliment you can bestow on somebody on D-Live. Kelly2334, thank you so much. Again, it's not your first, so that's huge. There are less than a handful of people that have done that twice. Very few once, but let alone, I think, under one hand that have done it twice. Just flying in to say hi. Have a very early morning. I will catch a replay. Peace and grace to all. Kelly, I hope you watch the second part of this. It is really important. When we get to the targeted gene weapons, that is some really crazy stuff. So remember to watch that if you get this far. And then the end is near. Nelly 14, Divine 1122. Thank you, and thank you. T Nicole M. Thank you so much for the diamond over there. And Bear Claws, Matrix 45, and everybody else that has popped in. JW, welcome to the D-Live fam over there. About 4,000 watching, 5,000 with D-Live. Thank you, everybody that has popped in. Vibrations from the sun shift our consciousness, says Divine 1122. I actually, I will probably talk about that next week. There's several things going on. And then Terra Belay 3, again, I'll get to that in just a second. Thank you. Jeff P is in the house. Guys, if you haven't checked out Jeff P, he's got a big YouTube channel. He is in the chat right now. Thank you for popping in and saying hi. It says, woman finds Amazon has thousands of recordings of her, all from home devices. It says the TikTok star found that Amazon had huge folders full of audio clips of her voice, a full list of contacts from her phone, her location, And she said she is not totally comfortable. And, of course, it says that a woman was shocked to discover how much information Amazon had collected on her from just a few devices, and created a video and shared the shocking truth with others. TikTok star at mydata.notyours uploaded a clip for her fans documenting all of the information the tech giant had collected about her. It says that she put in a request but didn't expect them to have too much, but was not totally comfortable with what she discovered. It says it turned out that Amazon had her location, all of her phone contacts, and thousands of recordings of her voice, collected from products that she gladly bought and placed in her home. It says, what do you think? It says, in the video, she said, I requested all of the data that Amazon has on me. Here is what I found. For reference, I have 2 Dots and 1 Echo, plus a few smart bulbs. She then opens a zip filed a file that had previously been downloaded and contains many folders, which are titled Alerts, Answers, Audio and Transition, Lists, Routines, Shopping, Skills, and Video, amongst others. She continued and she said, I decided to click on the audio one, and this is what they have. These are all short voice clips, which is so scary, and this is the one of me turning on the light. It says there are 3,534 short audio clips in this folder alone. So this is her turning on the light, saying, hey, turn on the light. It says, I then clicked on the contacts, and it turns out that they have a full list of contacts from my phone, and I never remember syncing that. I would look like that too. It says the very last thing that I didn't know that they had, I could have assumed that they had, but I don't love that they have, is my location. If you open up this file here, it will show you where you are located, right down to the latitude and longitude. I'm not totally comfortable with everything they have. The video soon had over 2.6 million views alongside 186,000 likes and 6,000 comments, which many were from concerned Amazon customers. One user said, the fact that you didn't know all of this is more of a reflection on you than Amazon. A second said, it's scary that people with Echo Dots and Alexa, etc. don't know that Amazon records you and keeps the recordings. Well, a third joked, can someone explain to me why this is scary? I'm not interested enough to care if they have my contacts or audio. So that this third one, this isn't a joke. This is people, I don't understand why this whole attitude of, oh, I don't care if they have my contacts. I'm not doing anything wrong, so who cares? They're using it to weaponize against all of us. They have profiles. If you really go deep into it, and most people just don't have the capacity to even care to look into this stuff, they're weaponizing it against you. And I guarantee you, the same person that says, oh, I'm not doing anything wrong, so it doesn't matter to me, I don't care if they listen, that same person 10 years down the road will end up losing their job because of something that they might have said inside their own home. Or they might be replaced by somebody that has a better qualification or better social credit score based on things that they didn't even know that they were being judged for. I don't think people understand where this is going. Social credit score is really going to happen. It's a Black Mirror episode, and that Black Mirror episode was not 40 years, 50 years off in the future, or it wasn't even fiction. This is something that's really happening. In the Black Mirror episode, if you ever saw it, basically your score drops low enough you can't even go into a grocery store. In that episode, this person has a bad morning and just one thing after another, accidentally spills coffee on somebody, their social credit score, they basically get downvoted by people. I forget, but it was something similar to this, like where he gets on the bus or something and doesn't have pay, his thing goes down, and then he spills coffee on somebody, his score goes down, and people are voting. Or he bumps somebody's shoulder, and then somebody goes, oh, and his picture pops above their head, they downvote him, and then his social credit score got too low, and by the time he got to work, he could not walk in. The door's locked, and it said, you cannot work today, you have to get your social credit score up yet. People think this is a joke. This is happening. In China, you have to have, if you have a low enough social credit score, you cannot buy plane or train tickets. You can't travel via the main ways of travel. You can't take a plane somewhere. This can happen from you leaving your bike on the sidewalk, from you telling a cop, hey, I don't like the way you do that. You can have, if you can swear in public, if you accidentally stub your toe and say the F word, they can mark you and have marked in China. If you jaywalk, all of these things can affect your social credit score. But not only that, what you post on the internet, what you say in your own home in China, what is recorded from similar things in China that they actually know they're listening, those things are all going into a actual score. And we are adopting this same policy. And it's not the United States government or the world governments anymore. It's the United Planet of corporation. And people like this just bugs me. Can someone explain to me why this is scary? They can use those audio files to create a new you. They could take you out, make a clone of you, make a deep fake of you, and use your audio, and even use something like Audio Bird or something like that, and make a completely fake you. And in fact, they could take you out, bury you, and then make you do a video manifesto, and they could use you as the scapegoat after a huge Fantastic Freddy. Yeah, I think if they don't do it. Adventure Prepper, where exactly did we sign any type of agreement as customers that allows them to record our personal lives and store that info along with the location? You know what? You probably did. That's the sad part. When you turn it on and when you sign up with them, that is part of it. I mean, people don't read a lot of these agreements. They say that they're using it to better their services or whatever else. See, the thing is people take convenience over privacy any day. Buy MF Polar and Stuff YT says, much love, Adam, Dex, and Mods. What's up, Frugal fam? Thanks for all the work. God bless y'all. From Samson. Thank you, Samson. And then Fugled Electro Mag says, Mount Aso just erupted in Japan. Mount Aso? Dex, can we actually check on Mount Aso, ASO? I think what can happen when Dex gets time, he can get me a link to find out what's up with that. All right.
Okay, I'll look into it, Adam.
Okay, thank you. See, Dex can search the breaking news and we can put it up live on the show. DHS wants wearables to track employee health at work and at home. It says the Homeland Security Department wants to build a tech solution to monitor the health and stress levels of its employees to help identify when workers need assistance due to physical or mental weariness and optimize, quote, human performance and resiliency among the workforce. So just to go into this real quick, this is absolutely, disgusting in my opinion. But this is something we've seen coming for a long time. Frugal fam have talked about this for a long time. In fact, I've seen just normal viewers call this years ago. By the way, Sheepdog, what's going on? It says, we're all on a list. See you at camp. That's bad. Jeff P says, remember movie Cell? Maybe an amplified fifth generation signal turns people into zombies like the movie Cell. That movie was actually, if it's the one I think you're talking about, I think that was a really good movie. It was like where they had static on TV or something, and everybody turned into zombies. Yeah, well, that's a thought, and that doesn't sound crazy to me anymore after finding out what they can do with genes. Hi from Colorado, Bigfoot Lady. What is going on? And then Tammy Shirt, and then Silver Bullet, Dark Wolf, Gary Ballard's in the house. Dan Oberweiser, Bones, thanks for modding. WV Prepared Mind, thank you for modding. CJ Blaze, all the great people are in here. Thank you guys. Thanks for showing up, guys. And then wherever Lisa R. Hall is, I hope you're doing well. And Mr. Floyd, Matt and Cedar Christ and Odd Hell and Susie Q. one of my oldest subscribers. Thank you for being here. So what do you guys think about this as far as trackable wearable devices tracking everything from health to everything else? Dex, what do you think about this as far as would you wear one of these if you had to for your work?
If somebody tells me I have to wear something, my answer is usually no, just because I always then question why somebody would tell me I have to do it. I would rather make the decision to use technology like that for your own personal use and have the choice to whether or not you want to use it based on, whether or not it's something that's important to you and you're willing to, trust whatever terms and conditions may come with it. And if you believe the company is or isn't going to track you nefariously. So, that's not to say like I have an Apple Watch. I don't wear it all the time, but I do wear it from time to time for certain reasons, right? But for other reasons, I don't wear it all the time. And so I prefer to have that kind of choice. And so yeah.
So if you look, but here's the thing, this actually goes like it kind of intrudes into their body. I'm sure it will have like, body fat and BMI and, body mass index or whatever it is.
Oh yeah. I mean, when they take it to that level, I mean, like, if it's counting steps and, counting your heart rate and counting your blood oxygen, right? Okay, well, then maybe you can say I'm willing to risk that information being out there. But then when they say, well, we're going to track like 80 different things about you, right? Then that's a choice you make. Like, do you really want all that out there? Maybe you don't.
Okay,
right?
so Dex, what if you come up for review, right? You work at DHS or say they end up adopting this into like Department of Homeland Security along the border or something. You're up for review. And your job is actually depending on your review, and they take into account that, say your steps, for example, like that's a simple thing, like your step count was low, and your position is to actually patrol with Border Patrol, you're the DHS that patrols the border, and they say, okay, well, these 3 other employees had 14,000 average steps a day, you only had 6,000, so were you just like sitting on the job? What were you doing? And then they said,
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I totally agree that is a scenario. I don't agree that, in my opinion, I wouldn't like that because there's other ways to measure that. Like, I'm just using this example you have. Like I've seen it with other security systems and people is they'll have scanners and they'll say you need to scan these locations in your patrol, right? So they know that by them physically being there and scanning them, that they did their job by going through there. They didn't have to biometrically count their steps, right? So as long as there's a way, a less privacy conscious way of making sure a job is done without totally invading an individual's personal privacy rights, I would definitely say like I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't, and the other thing I think you see is like an insurance company comes along and says, hey, we'll give you a discount on your health insurance if you put this band on so that we know how to rank you, right? It's just like the same thing in the car insurance business. It's like throw the little adapter in your ODB port on your car and we'll watch how you drive. And if you drive really good and you never hard brake and, sling your car sideways and break the speed limit while we're tracking you, then we'll give you a great discount on your insurance, right? So people can make that decision if they want to give up that type of information in exchange for reward. I think a lot of people would. I don't think a lot of our, people around us may not, but I think there's a lot of people out there that would, and we've seen it happen, especially in the insurance industry.
Well, I just think it's funny that it is specifically more targeted towards the border, and it's like, I wonder if this is another agency trying to kind of intermingle into that and kind of reduce their efficiency, like they can track certain people and then know when to tell them, hey, can you go over here? Can you go over there? And open up a window for somebody to go in. And I know that sounds crazy, but you have to realize there's cartels that have people up on payroll. We're talking about cartels that have people in the very highest ranks. So then when you've got them tracked down to the T, you can tell this, these troops, I guess, these DHS employees to go this way, these DHS to go that way. And now you've got open places with nobody, running them. In fact, they took away the horses in one of the only areas that's not navigable by any car. That the area that they took away the horses because these men were doing this horrible stuff, even though we know, even the photographer said that photo was just a bad angle and it was taken out of context, they still took away the horses. And that area is the only, it's one of the few parts that does not have any navigable roads. So therefore, you cannot protect that zone. You could then tell everybody, hey, go that way, go this way. And cartel could, pay $2 million to get shipments across or whatever they're paying. They've got senators, they've got Congress on their payroll. I guarantee it. We know they've caught senators, Congress, all these people, taking payments from cartels and all this. It's just stupid. This is crazy though, or maybe this is to stop it. Who knows? And then we have.
My name is Tom Homan. I'm the former ICE director under President Donald Trump, and I'm here to ask America to wake up. You can protect yourself, and at the same time protect this great nation. The threat of electromagnetic pulse is real. EMP. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It's a matter of life and death. I recently partnered with a Midwest company, veteran-owned, that has developed a device you can hook up to your home or your vehicle to protect you against an EMP. I highly encourage you to go to EMPShield.com and research this device. Again, it will protect you, in the long term, protect this great nation. Thank you.
Now, that was Tom Homan, former ICE director. But if you have not, and if you are new here tonight, I know there's a few new people. In fact, it looks like 30 people just during the show have subscribed. So thank you. If you have not looked at this before, EMP Shield is an actual device that's used by agencies like Department of Homeland Security, by DOD, Department of Defense, and the DEMSO team, helping stock up and protect their buildings. Again, I believe if the government or the military is trying to prepare for something, that is because it is the most likely or most probable scenario. That means we should. Personally, I think that everyone that this should be put through with all the money that the administrations have wasted away. They could have said, hey, this is required if you're going to sell a home, that, this is part of code. This is a fraction of the cost of some of the stuff that they actually require homes to have if you sell it in certain areas. So again, this is an actual device. It's a surge protector that is so above any other surge protector that this is actually used to block all three phases of an EMP. Where normal surge protectors, they'll stop stuff in a second or a nanosecond. This is a picosecond. It is so fast, it's almost not measurable. Again, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. They make different devices for different things. If you do not want to be stuck in a car after an EMP or a CME, a Carrington level event, a solar flare, then get one of these on your car. Again, they make a car, a generator, a boat model, an RV model. They make a solar system model, and of course the home model. There's a model pretty much for anything that you want to be able to protect and you want running after an EMP. This isn't just good for one EMP, it's good for multiple. So remember, marfooglenews.com/EMP to support a veteran-owned business and 100% American-made product. Not only that, for sending you, they will give you $50 off per device. That is an exclusive sale from us. And then again, they will also give us a small commission. So therefore, you are helping your favorite channel and you are also getting a discount. So it's a win-win for everybody. Make sure to go over there now, though. There is also a contest. The contest is actually on our website. You can go over there now. On our website, about halfway down on tonight's show, you can go over and you can fill it out and easily enter to win. You can do this daily. In fact, there's multiple ways to enter daily. Over 6,000 entries. It looks like there's, that's actually not much more than yesterday. So there's 15 days left and you can do multiple a day. So again, go over there and check that out. Dex, do we have somebody on the phones? It looks like
Yes.
we have, is that Joseph?
Yes, we have a first-time caller, Joseph.
First-time caller, Joseph, with cloud photos, and we have files here. So let's get Joseph on the phone. And then what I'll do is I'll load this up right now.
And Adam Joseph is live on air.
All right.
What's up, Adam?
Hey, how are you doing, Joseph? So what are we looking at here?
Very well. How are you? Do you have the photos pulled up?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so there's 3 photos. There's like 2 or what? I just want to hear what you see in those 3 photos.
Okay, so before you tell me what it is, let me look and I'll
Right.
I'll say what I think it is.
Okay.
Well, at first my first thought was trees in the dark with the moon behind it, but those are really sharp.
They're not the best photos, but you can make out. Can you make out anything?
Kind of looks like maybe missiles or a church.
Okay. So you see the 2 eyes and then like the swirly face mouth. Do you see a face? Do you see a face?
Am I looking in the sky in the clouds? Okay. So okay. Oh,
Right.
okay. I do. Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
To me, it looks like a serpent. A serpent almost, or a dragon. With the moon in the middle of his forehead.
Okay, so there's 3 photos. There's like 2 face photos where there's like a clear face in the clouds, and then there's the last one that's like animal themed, if that makes sense. It's like you can make out like 5 different animals within the like theme of clouds, and then there's the 2. I'm not sure if they're in order how I sent them, but then there's the 2 clouds that are like faces. Do you see the faces?
Hold on. Let me check all 3 before I make any judgments here. Let me zoom out.
Nice to talk to you.
Oh, well, nice to have you, Joseph. Now, is there a midpoint that I should look at? I see it on one of them that came out, that kind of shouted out to me right away, but on the
I wish
other,
I could see what you're looking at. Let me see how I sent them. Dex,
They're in
do you
the
know
order-
if
they're in-
if he was
He's looking at them in the order you sent him: 1, 2, and then 3.
okay? So there's the first one, and you can see like an alien face. It's like a triangular face. You got the 2 eyes, and then you got like a happy / side or happy sad face, if you can see it. The first one is. Do you see that? Do you see the face?
well, is it turned sideways? I see like a profile almost. Really, like you got to. Is it in the middle of the photo? Give me a landmark. There's 5 points.
Okay.
There's 5 points on the picture. The trees that are sticking up.
Adam, you had your mouse on an eye. That's what I saw. That like a animal face pointing to the right.
That's what I thought. That's
Yeah.
this
Right,
this right
right.
here.
It is. Dex, yes, it is.
Okay, so I do see that. There's a nostril, a mouth. In fact,
Right.
I see that one, and then on the second one, I see.
Uh-huh.
I actually see like a crazy serpent type thing. Look at this. So if you zoom in,
Oh, I can see that too, actually.
I see 2 eyes right here, eyes, and then a nose or a snout that comes out, and then the mouth right here, and then the head goes like this and out, and that's kind of the bottom of the mouth, and it's this dragon, and then the moon is like the perfect forehead. Does anybody else see that? Either way, this could be also seen. Now I'm seeing kind of more of a human face. Pretty funky, weird.
Well, anyway, those 3 photos were pretty crazy to see in person. They were a lot bigger. They were a lot more sharp, in person. By the way, the night I saw those cloud figures, I felt the wobble, that's talked about in the Bible, the earth will wobble on its axis or whatever. and I felt it that night specifically. So it was a crazy night overall. Yeah, the first face you can like see like an alien, like a triangle, like an upside down pyramid faced triangle face, you know, with the two eyes and like a mouth with like a hand coming in front of it. And then the second one, you can see like a smiley, creepy face. Okay, you can see like the two eyes and the like weird, creepy, smiley face. And then the last one is like, as I said, animal themed. And Dex pointed out that there's like that dragon lizard thing. And if you look at that one more, you can see like a T-Rex. You can see like maybe a grizzly bear and a couple other things. So anyway, I thought they were interesting, and I've been listening to you guys for some time now. So it's really nice to have came on the show and been able to talk to you, both of you. So.
No, well, thank you for the awesome photos. I think out of all of them, the best. This one actually. I'm seeing other things, but again, with clouds, it's kind of like one of the ink blot tests. Like, what do you see? As far as I see two different things in that first picture that I didn't see before, and then on that second one, I clearly see a weird face thing, and it's actually really creepy that the moon is right in the forehead, like a third eye.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
That's cool. Well, either way, Joseph, I'm so glad that you finally called in.
Crazy, but...
Now that you've called in for the first time, hopefully it won't be harder to call in again. Just because it's your first call doesn't mean it has to be your last.
Well, thank you. Thank you both, you, Adam, and Dex. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Joseph. Have a great night. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marv out. That was Joseph from California. So this was shot in California. And then we also have V, another first-time caller who's on deck. V, just to let you know, we haven't forgot about you, calling from Ohio. But V, if I do say OH, you know what to say. I-O. And theory, are the cargo ships as a Trojan horse? That is the topic there. So let's get back to the news. It says potential Chinese hackers are targeting telecommunications companies. This alone, people need to wake up. People are about to be rudely awakened when the lights go out, when all of a sudden you don't have Google, you don't have any internet to figure out what's going on. Highly recommend that people have books on how to have your survival stuff all lined up, have your ducks lined up, but also understand, especially if you do not have time to actually figure out how to be a survivalist. Not many people have times working 9 to 5 to actually do this. Some people, go all out. But again, somebody like myself, I have 4 kids. It's hard for me to do actual study on how to be a survivalist. One thing that I do know is that I have a ton of books, and I know that doesn't make me an expert, but I hope that if everything did hit the fan and, you're sitting there for 10 years, I'll learn, and I'll have the information at my fingertips. You're not going to have Google if something, if the entire system gets fried, if the power goes out for 2 years, if the entire world goes back to the dark ages and tribal, then you need information. They are going after telecommunications companies. And this article, especially through the media companies who are almost all, doesn't matter if it's on the right or the left, they're all owned by BlackRock. They're telling you, they're putting it in the back of your head, hey, this is going on. So then you mentally know what is going on when it happens. It says hackers potentially linked to China are continuously targeting the telecommunications sector. A report released Tuesday by cybersecurity company CrowdStrike found. It says, according to the report, a threat group labeled CrowdStrike as a light basin has been consistently targeting the global telecommunications sector since 2016 and has been successfully compromised at least 13 telecommunications groups in the last 2 years alone. Given the significant intelligence value to any state-sponsored adversary that's likely contained within telecommunications company, CrowdStrike expects these organizations to continue to be targeted by sophisticated actors, further underscoring the criticality of criticality. Is that really how you say that? I've never seen that being used. Of securing all aspects of telecommunications infrastructures beyond simply focusing on the corporate network alone. CrowdStrike researchers warned in the report. It says there is currently not enough evidence to link the cluster's activity to a specific country nexus. However, CrowdStrike researchers did conclude that the hacking efforts were consistent with Signal's intelligence organization, potentially linking the attacks to a higher level effort. Basically saying that this was too good to not be, a stateside actor, a huge power. Securing telecommunications organization is no means a simple task, especially with the partner-heavy nature of such networks and the focus on high-availability systems. However, with the clear evidence of highly sophisticated adversary abusing these systems and the trust between different organizations, focusing on improving the security of these networks is the utmost importance. So, Dex, coming from somebody who worked with tech companies, worked in the sector and understood kind of, I'm sure in the companies, some of the companies you worked for had attacks and all sorts of weird stuff, but you guys had an IT department take care of that. What do you think about this?
Well, one of the things that seems to be an obvious, these telecommunication companies tend to be the front, not even the front door, but the sort of the back door, really, to a lot of data, whether that be other companies or even, intelligence groups or information from our own government, right? You would think that, our government just may have their own network, but they do, but that network interconnects, and it interconnects with telecommunication companies. They're the ones that lay the fiber. They're the ones that run the lines, right? So when you get into a telecommunications company, and you can do two things. You can, bring down communication, but you can also find ways into other things that you would, potentially gain access to that you wouldn't normally do. So if you think about government agencies are all on telecommunication networks, and I guarantee you they don't have their own. They're using these commercial, or they have government contracts with commercial telecommunication companies to backhaul this information, right? So, those types of things are also interesting and definitely something that'll never really be talked about and exposed. So yeah, taking down everybody's cell phone and making it so you can't talk is one thing, but then gaining access to, I don't know, just hypothetically speaking here, NSA or another 3-letter agency's, information, right, through a major telecom system is another thing that these hackers could be trying to do.
And so basically saying that they could have access to, these governments are using these big telecommunications companies too. So Dex is saying, they could access serious stuff through these hacks, which, some of them seem lower end, but they're going through companies that are also handling, of course, DIA, CIA, Department of Homeland Security, DOD. So all of these things could be at risk. Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. You could take a nuclear power plant somewhere. It's not running. There's not like some sort of private network of cable that runs from one plant to another to the Department of Energy. They're backhauling all that stuff through, I don't know, major companies like
Comcast,
AT&T or others, whoever they supply fiber lines from that location to another. So getting into that telecommunications company can open up potentially doors into other things.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, the AT&T thing. So we still can't say really. We can't say much without. So, okay. I'll just say this.
Hypothetically speaking, what I was describing is something that could have happened.
Okay. So AT&T. Okay. Hypothetically, let's just take a scenario where, some stateside or somebody higher up ends up doing something to make it look like it's something super low down. There was this really weird thing that happened in Nashville, wasn't it? It was Nashville, right? It was Tennessee.
Yeah, that big central office in Nashville.
And it was basically an RV with an automated message saying, this RV is going to boom boom in 30 minutes or blah, blah, blah. It's going to boom boom in 25 minutes. Please get away. We don't want to hurt anything. We just want to blow up this crappy camper. And it just so happens that it was right outside a major hub that actually had secure telecommunications, and they never really told anybody or anything if anything ended up, going missing or something like that. And what would be the value if something did, right? What if they used that as a distraction, goes boom, they break in somewhere, they take something, all of a sudden they've got keys to something. Dex, was that before, that was after Solar Winds? Was that before Solar Winds?
It was after. Yeah,
that was after. I just wonder. I wonder how much of that is connected. Craig Alicious says Facebook is changing its name. Why? Facebook is changing its name. Oh, is this a joke? I can't wait for the answer. Backwoods Ingenuity. Don't forget to start prepping for winter. Wool blankets, camp stoves, and gas heaters, propane canisters, candles, and solar or oil lamps. Stay warm, fam. Backwoods Ingenuity. I know a lot of people don't do oil anymore, but that's a really great option as well. Jesse S. Thank you. Says, remember Microsoft patent W2020 or 060606 or something like that. Yeah, I believe you're right on it.
Facebook wasn't a joke.
What?
No, we don't know what it is because they haven't unveiled it, but they want to change it because they want to have a new focus on this whole metaverse. So the name change could come within a week, according to The Verge.
You are kidding me. Oh, I know a great name. I was actually I was waiting for this day. In fact, I was like, what if Facebook changed their name? And I was like thinking of all these names, and I'm like, they log your life, and it gives you a place to put all the pictures of what's going on in your life. I was thinking, check this out, Dex. I know this sounds crazy, but what about calling it life log? What do you think, Dex? What do you think?
Oh, that name sounds so familiar. What was it? Gosh, it's right. I've heard that.
I just came
before.
up with
Haven't
it.
you?
Facebook, life log. I thought it was I thought it was a good one. I mean, I made that up. I sent it to myself in a envelope so it would be copyrighted.
I think it's going to be like the United States social credit system. Something. USCS,
right? USCS. Yeah, no, that makes sense. You can send it through USCS, United States Social Credit System. USSCS. Oh, the USSCS. Or no, the USSR CS, something like that. I think that would work too. No, call it the USSR, the United States Social Reality. Yes. Dex, what do you think about that? Call Facebook USSR. Right?
Perfect. Let's call Zuck now.
Okay. All right. Should we stop the show or we'll call him after. Okay. All right. And then Bill Giles, thank you so much for subscribing. By MF and Polar and stuff. Thank you so much. R. Filipente, thank you and welcome to the Frugal fam for subscribing. Tara Belay says, that's how they do it. Hardcore shock people, then back it off so everyone says, well, okay, well, go for the less bad thing. Bam. That's the way it's through. Tara Belay, I believe, is talking about the IRS thing. It's like they shock you and then they go, okay, well, we'll pull it back. But the thing that they're pulling back to is still horrible. And why would anybody accept that? They're like, oh, that's a compromise. No, it's not. How about you just don't track us? Critical U.S. infrastructure now needs surface-to-air missile protection during a crisis. Okay, Dex, what did you think of when you saw this?
Oh, I was thinking power plants and nuclear facilities, central offices, things like that around the nation now need to have missile protection, because that means they're being targeted. They don't just make this stuff up, right? They have to have valid threats, and to want to create some sort of defense system for specific areas like this.
Okay, so if you
power grids,
again. So I don't know if you are listening, but like Red Alert 2 or like Command and Conquer, where you place those little missile protections so the other computer player doesn't missile your stuff. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about surface to air defense missiles for our infrastructure. Why would we need that? Oh, maybe because planes are going to be flying over it. It says a senior officer at the U.S. Canadian North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, says that the command is actively engaged in discussions on how to optimize air defense capabilities, including ground-based surface-to-air missiles to protect domestic critical infrastructure in a crisis. He said that the growing ability of the potential adversaries to launch long-range conventional strikes, especially using advanced air, sea, and submarine-launched cruise missiles, has prompted new concerns about threats to the homeland, which is, quote, not a sanctuary any longer. This is a quote from a NORAD official, okay, said that we are no longer a sanctuary. Basically, that we're not protected anymore. This is just the latest example of the U.S. officials sounding similar alarm bells in recent years, but is a less common public acknowledgement about the limitation of existing defenses within the continental U.S. Because guess what? When you send a ton of things, including drones, over, and you're going to be doing all this crazy stuff, and they're just coming at you with everything, then they're sending missiles as well. By the way, I'm sure that these surface-to-air are not the best at actual cruise missiles, right, Dex? I mean, some of this is to get actual planes. I would assume.
I would think this could take anything that can fly down, with the exception of what we talked about in last night's show about hypersonic.
Yeah. So if you think that they're drilling, landing on highways and everything else, and that they're drilling in the night, drilling with no GPS, drilling with night vision goggles, if you think that that's all just playing games, think again. Oh, and by the way, China hasn't sent anything over, and basically all the ports are just like shut up. All of the shortages. It looks like a naval blockade out in the water in California and in China. So what is really going on? They're telling their people in China that we are the perpetrators, that we are the adversaries. We are saying that they are the adversaries. We are setting up defenses and offenses right now. And China overnight ended all of its connections with any kind of English people, coming in. Meanwhile, what's so crazy is right before that, BlackRock, the company that owns both sides of the media, owns all of the banks, has pretty much, stock in everything. And we're saying, I don't know if you guys know how big BlackRock is, but, think about like how the Rothschilds actually funded both sides of previous wars, right? They actually funded both the winner and the loser. Funny, right? BlackRock has more GDP than almost every country in the world combined except for the U.S. and China. So who are the three richest countries in the world? The United States, China, and then BlackRock. Oh, wait. BlackRock isn't a country. It's an investment firm. And did you know that BlackRock also owns 5 to 10% of all, at least 2 of the things that everybody is now being made to get? It's just funny how all of this stuff is kind of just so coincidental. Lots of really crazy stuff going on. I don't understand how people aren't seeing this conflict coming. It's more than the writings on the wall. The writing is being projected into the sky. It's being wrote with a plane. It's being towed behind a blimp. And people are still blind. They are telling us we're going to war. And people are still not listening. People are focused on Netflix. People are focused on the debate of who's getting fired at Netflix or who's getting canceled. Meanwhile, over in China, they're canceling just everything Western, anything. All of their pop stars, anybody who the people idolized besides the government just got wiped out. They wiped out all English speaking, period. They don't want it taught in the schools anymore. They don't want anything to do with the U.S. And it's pretty huge just that by itself, saying, hey, we don't want English exams. We don't want our country to learn English. That's kind of saying like a long-term thing, like, yeah, don't worry, we're not gonna need to do English anymore because we're gonna be the top dog. They're gonna learn Chinese. That's why John Cena and people are like that are going, and they're trying to learn Chinese to apologize, to appease the Chinese government because, well, if they don't, then their movie's not seen in all of China. But I think it's a little bit more than that. I think that they won't have a seat at the new table. Something is happening major right underneath our noses. I think the conflict has already started, and now I'm really starting to see it, especially with now we are our weakest. Think about that. Just in my city alone, which is a very, very progressive city, a huge chunk of our police and fire just resigned, and there was a video of them all walking their boots up to City Hall and dropping them off. We are short police, we are short fire, we're short EMS, we're short everything. That's just one, and we're a very progressive, very, pro everything. So if we're having a hard time, then I bet the whole country is. And guess what? That means as far as military goes, there's tons of people who are resigning, leaving, saying, I don't care if I'm discharged. I don't want to do this. That puts us at a huge disadvantage. They're putting surface to air missiles around our infrastructure right now. Think about that. Beijing demands U.S. provide the full details of the nuclear submarine incident, Defense Ministry says. Okay, so why this matters. The submarine incident that happened a few weeks ago, it essentially hit something, and it had damage to it. And everybody's asking this question, how did this multi-billion-dollar submarine, which can basically see everything without seeing it, because these things are the most advanced technology ever, ran into something? And everybody, they even made articles, a bunch of articles saying, oh, well, it does happen. These things do happen. They do accidentally bump into things, right? Do you believe that? Well, now China is saying they want us to publicly expose what we hit and why. Dex, what do you think on this? I almost think we hit somebody.
They know the story, and they probably think it will make us look bad, and it probably involves them. They want it to come out.
I think we hit their sub, or we hit one of their ships, or we had a little scuffle. Maybe this is China saying, talk about this publicly. Tell them we're at war right now. What about that? Like, what if they're already exchanging blows right now? We have oh my gosh, so check this out. All of California, this is so crazy. So somebody emailed me. You guys got to follow my Twitter. People have been DMing me messages. Somebody said they DM me screenshots of their local paper. I think it was Michigan. Michigan says, hey, don't be alarmed. 25 helicopters, Chinooks, Blackhawks will be flying over in formation. Don't be alarmed. They're heading somewhere. And then we get a video from Not My Childhood Sky, and it's all these aircraft, and it's a bunch of Chinooks. But I'm like, wait, that's not all Chinooks. It was Chinooks, Blackhawks. It was all these different helicopters, all in formation. And I'm like, wait, but that's not Michigan. That was over in, I think it was Colorado City was the first one. Not My Childhood Sky was in Apple Valley, California. So, and then we get another video of Oregon, and it's like the entire West Coast has these helicopters doing these crazy drills all over the place. And I don't even know if they're drills. Then she says that they're followed by carriers off the coast of Apple Valley, or I believe that's what, again, if you're in the chat, feel free to explain what your husband said. What the hell is going on here? People are saying that there's Navy out in the ports, like we have a naval blockade. Are we out there actually protecting our coast? Where did all of those packed carriers go? They could say they're here or there, but we even covered last year. They said that in extreme times, they even had a plan to take the transponders of our carriers and put them different places for the public to see where they're at when they're not really that. That's a decoy. Or they could just turn off their transponders or whatever you call it on a boat. What the hell is happening right now? Why are we moving artillery to Alaska? Why did we move the Iron Dome system to Guam? Ask yourself that. Why are we landing C-130s and A-10 Warthogs on U.S. highways for the first time ever? Wake up, people. I hope people share this out. What's coming next is bad. We're going to talk about it. By the way, if you joined us late, we're going to talk about the race and ethnic targeted weapons being made by China. Possibly being made. I'll be clear on that. Being made.
40 left.
Craigalicious Facebook is changing its name. Why? Thank you again. Bill Goalies. And then I think I missed GB Jills. And thank you, guys. Thank you, Sea-Dog, for going over to PayPal during the show. Says, thank you, guys. This is my way of contributing. And they take less. Thank you. Hey, appreciate that. No worries. Thank you, Sea-Dog. And it says people are hoarding. Food shortages are the next supply chain crunch. In Denver, public school children are facing shortages of milk. In Chicago, a local market is running short of canned goods and boxed items. Dex, do you want to go over this real quick? And then I will also line up I will line up the National Guard story after this.
Yeah, so absolutely. I think we're all starting to see it. I saw it for the first time. I saw my own rationing where they were limiting what you could buy, and now I've started to see, even where I shop, just empty shelves. So this specifically, we've talked about it being toys, electronics, other things you may need, but as it starts to get into some of the staples and the things that you expect to get in a grocery store, and things that people need to eat, like food, we're starting to either see prices skyrocket or supply just not be available. And what, that hits schools and the foods that they serve, all the way down to, your own grocery shopping and what you do to supply the food for your family. So, these types of things and these shortages are expected now at this point. We've been talking about it for a long time coming, but now we're seeing more and more of it in the mainstream. And I think more and more of you can probably walk out to any of your grocery stores and see the sky high prices or the lack of food and empty shelves.
And it's only going to get worse with what is going on with what is happening out there. People are starting to realize what percentage of stuff was coming from China. Let me remind you, if we do go to conflict, over 90% of the U.S., that we say that 97% of the U.S. Antibiotics were coming from China. 90% of the whole world's antibiotic, the active ingredients in those, were being made in China. So think about that. If you do have a situation for, like, say, a year where things have gone bad, antibiotics would instantly be snatched up in every pharmacy. It would be grabbed, looted, whatever. Where would you get more? That is one advantage. And they said that we virtually have no way to make them or manufacture them here in the U.S. That's insane to me. How did they do that? I have no idea. And again, a lot of new people that are here will not understand that. Like, will not get, they'll say that can't be true. Take a look yourself. By the way, Dex, it said that there was 0 all of a sudden, so I don't know if that was a glitch, but just to check on this.
Oh, no, there's 4,800. We're
okay,
good.
all right, good.
And I don't know if you heard my time call.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thank you. Tuberville says National Guard will battle global supply chain crisis by driving the trucks. Tuberville. National Guard. This is exactly what we said. National Guard driving the trucks. Dex, is this like exactly what was predicted?
Yeah, and this is coming from a U.S. senator. So from Alabama, Tommy Tuberville made this statement. I think, obviously he has inside information or is making it public. But, and I've also heard that there's another article out there talking about the White House reviewing whether or not to roll the National Guard to drive trucks.
Well, nobody's panicking because it's just National Guard replacing the truck drivers that are, quitting because of that, right? Meanwhile, they're putting military all over the country, and nobody's going to blink an eye because they're going to go, oh, they're just replacing the jobs that,
Maybe they'll be checking the containers before they leave the port, which our caller wants to talk about.
Yeah, let's get our next caller, and it looks like we have V. V is on the phone from OH. V, you can come in now, and you are live on Marfoogle News.
And Adam, V is now live.
Hey, Mark.
OH.
Can you hear me?
Doesn't know it.
Hello,
Yes, V, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. I did the OH, and you didn't do the IO.
Yeah, sorry about that. A little brief disconnection there. I'm a first-time caller, but a frequent listener. And first off, I want to say thanks for taking my call, and thanks for all you're doing.
Well, hey, thanks for calling in, and you have a theory about the cargo ships. What's going on with that?
Yeah, well, we throughout the show so far, we've discussed many of the criteria that might add to this theory, but just to kind of build up to it, we already talked about the southern border of the continent and what's going on there, and we talked about shortages, and we talked about the health issue that's been going on and what people are being made to do or pushed to do, and jobs that might be in jeopardy depending on their decisions. I'm a big fan of logic and critical thinking, and I can't help but come up with a theory that, now we have these supposed supply shortages. It looks, designed, I guess you would say. On the east and the west coast, on both coasts, we have all of these cargo ships that are being held up. And some of them have been there for longer than 6 months on the West Coast. I think the count now is like somewhere near 80 or more. And with everything going on economically, you know what I mean, and with our current weak leadership, my theory is, and you can expound on this or tell me what you think. I'm thinking of a possible like a Trojan horse. Like who knows what's really on those ships. I mean, they're large enough to compete with carriers, and we don't really know what's in them. And I think one time on the show before, either your show, or I think it was on your show, they were contemplating possible, military projectiles that are controlled remotely that, the country across the sea there might have put in cargo containers. So I'm contemplating a possible Trojan horse theory and imminent conflict that may or may not be already occurring, just using alternative methods.
Well, so a lot of people talk about how the ports that are there are controlled by, or a very good chunk is controlled by Chinese companies, and those Chinese companies may or may not have direct lines to the government, the Chinese government. So they might be able to, turn ahead or basically turn away or turn a blind eye to something going through, right? Well, then there's things in place to try to stop that. I'm sure there's customs or whatever that they have to go through, and maybe some oversight. Well, maybe there's a way around that. Other than that, though, we're talking about container technology that has been around for at least a few years, maybe a decade, where the container actually has a missile technology. In fact, they could launch a full-on ICBM from a normal 40-yard container. So that is what our caller is talking about, V. It's very possible. Of course, that kind of stuff is called, even though that's called like fear porn or whatever else, that's realistic, because that's actually part of one of the things that one of their officials planned. Like, they said we would not be against using that. In fact, they said that they would not be against anything against the rules if it came down to that, including bio, which we'll talk about here later. But yeah, I get that. I would be. Yeah,
I think we've already seen bio partially.
I don't think this is the big one. I think we'll.
Oh no.
I think we'll see the real bio soon.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right. I just think that, on your show, you talk a lot about preparedness, which is a good thing. And it's good to be prepared with food and supplies and, make sure that you're warm and all the rest of it, other things you should be prepared with, where seconds count. And, I think that people should not play down the possibility that things are already occurring. And I think we should be more than ready, because I think as you said before, the writing's on the wall,
The writing is almost on our foreheads. It's right in our faces.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you.
Absolutely.
And V, I appreciate the view, because I've been looking at that too. It's like, I don't know if they would even have to come in the country. I think they could just go right off of our port from California waters and hit pretty much anywhere with the technology they already had years ago. Not even this new hypersonic stuff. You're talking about something that would be launched from California to California.
And that would explain the mysterious flight patterns of videos that people are sending in, and that would also explain why certain large carriers of ours are, misplaced. I think maybe they're holding back some of this because they don't want to startle people. But I think those that have the ability to see and hear what's going on should not play down at all the possibility of imminent and already occurring conflict.
Absolutely. Well, V, thank you. It's your first time call. Don't make it your last. Don't be a stranger. Please, please hang out and call us again, okay?
Will do, sir. Thanks for taking my call.
All right. Thank you so much. V, have a great night from Ohio. Now, I'm showing you my Twitter real quick. BlackRock is the company I've been talking about, blah, blah, blah. This is my Twitter here. So, sorry. Ever since Jacob Israel did that video saying that blah, blah, blah represented 666, I forget how blah, it was like BLA was the way to say the number 6 in ancient something. So when you say blah, 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 it's like saying 666. I've said it every once in a while, and I'm like, I catch. It's almost like catching yourself if you say the Lord's name in vain or something, and you say, sorry for saying your name in vain, Jesus' name, amen, type of thing. Now that I say I can't say blah, it's weird. Because my 6-year-old's been saying blah, 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 and that's because this other kid, her friend, has been saying it. And I said, don't say it. Now I think of it as like a bad thing. On my Twitter, though, I'm trying to show you there was a video here. This is what we're talking about. These are the helicopters. This was sent in by Not My Childhood Sky. This is on my Twitter with the audio. But not only that, you can see it a lot better when you go over there. Now, this is just one. There's many. We're getting these all over the country. Why are these formations going all over the country? I just think it's pretty crazy. Okay, let's before we get into this next subject. Okay, so we're gonna go kind of in depth for the last part of the show. I do want to remind you, if you haven't already, there is still $100 off on a 3-month supply of food. If you do want to get some long-term shelf actual survival food, you can get it through our link to My Patriot Supply. It's marfooglenews.com/prep. This is essentially a one-stop shop. You can get everything from iodine pills to actual storable food, to power banks, to all sorts of power solutions, medical supplies, survival books, even survival emergency radios and such. You can get air purification and water purification are the two big ones that you'll need. Water filtration is a giant one. As far as having clean water is why they say 90% of us will perish if the lights go out. It's not because we're all going to take each other out. It's because very soon we would not have drinkable, potable water. So remember, you can go over and go and support your favorite channel at the same time. Say $100 off on a 3-month supply of food. Awesome. I'll just be honest with you. They had a $200 discount on a bigger thing, and then it got reduced, and then it got reduced. The reason why is because so many people are getting this food, they are not doing it. They're like, the demand is so high. A lot of companies, by the way, in the survival range have actually had to either raise prices. They never raised their prices. They just reduced their discount to slow down or to even keep up with the orders because it is in such high demand. There are companies right now that have not been shipping orders for 6 months. My Patriot Supply is a big one, so they can still go. But all I'm saying is I would highly recommend getting this before you can't. Everybody should know that, obviously you won't be able to call them up after SHTF. So go to marfooglenews.com/prep. That link will do everything, and it will help us out. For sending you over, they end up sending us a commission, and then that way you end up getting a discount of some sort, and then you also send us, they end up sending us a commission for it. So that helps us out. So I think it's a win-win, again, and everybody is getting themselves prepared. Thank you, anybody that does that. But either way, if you can't afford to do something like this, make sure that you are doing something every single week. $5 in canned food. Watch Alaska Prepper. He's a great prepper that does payday preps where he just takes the minimal amount of money to try to get as much as possible. Survival Living. Channels like this are really, really, really great. So make sure to go check them out. All right, and then Mr. Fall Line, thank you for subscribing. Dex, let's get into this. So, oh, man. So we're going to get into some pretty serious stuff here. So this is where you would want to tune out if you easily get freaked out. Again, what experts are saying, what, of course, anyone who is watching China is saying is a very creepy thing. And essentially, I'm going to say this once, so I hope that everybody is here. It would be race and ethnic targeted gene weapons, essentially. We'll say the rest part. So I'm going to read this part out. This is the simplest method of non-viral transfection. It's called naked DNA. This plays a part in it. It says, clinical trials carried out of intramuscular injection of a naked DNA plasmid have occurred with some success. However, the expression has been very low in comparison with other methods of transfection. In addition to trials with plasmids, there have been trials with naked PCR product, which have had similar or greater success. This success, however, does not compare to that with other methods, leading to research into more efficient methods for delivery of the naked DNA, such as electroporation or the use of a gene gun, which shoots DNA-coated gold particles into the cell using high-pressure gas. And we're literally talking about, and by the way, it doesn't have to be using high-pressure gas. It can actually be tiny miniature gunpowder that shoots a thing that can go into the body and alter things. Dex, so I'm going to pull you back in. This sounds like science fiction, but this is science nightmare.
It is. And, so we talk a lot, and we've seen a lot of advancements in what's done in the gene world as far as like curing ailments or trying to find cures for ailments or fixing things here and there. But what we have to understand is the investment that the military or the militaries around the world, but more specifically what China has done and said they're doing and explained and explored in this specific area. Okay, and what they're doing. While it's one thing to learn how to necessarily put some sort of gene-changing technology into a human, it's another thing to actually figure out how and why you're going to, and who you're going to target. Like, am I going to target certain people? Am I only going to affect certain things? Am I only going to create certain types of diseases or certain types of effects? And then even potentially make antidotes to them so that you can then turn around and undo what you've done as it relates to combat, right? So when we think about this, one of the things, and we've talked about collecting of data for social credit scores, well, there's this other notion of collecting of information about genetics and getting all of this information into a database so that you can then start to understand everything that's out there, so you can slice up these things and you can create a device or a system that'll go in and say attack a certain type of person or a certain gender or a certain specific, and apply a certain specific ailment to them, whether it be immediate or long term, right? And so as we talk about some of these things specifically around the testing that they have done, the tests they have created, a lot of them being DNA testing. So I think the first one you've got here is this breakthrough in home DNA testing. We know a lot about, people talking about the at-home tests that you can do to learn about your lineage or maybe learn about your health, markers or things like that. That's really been dominated by a couple of companies, and one of them is, tied in with the company that is running the platform we're on, right? But China has specifically invested heavily in this, whether it's to get the data and make sure they have access to it, or to create new ways to capture their own data about the genetics of people around the world, whether it's their own citizens or the rest of the globe.
Now, if you're lost so far, we're talking about something that would be delivered into a human being, and based on where they came from, say like what their pigment is, or what background they have, what country of origin they have, they would be affected differently than others. This almost sounds like something from WW2 that, say, Adolf would do. We're talking about some really, really evil stuff here. This actually goes into, it says, China's bargain alternative to Frugal-backed genomics startup 23andMe, GeneBox, says it's developed a type of testing apparatus key to consumer-grade DNA kits, could break a global duopoly High-density microarrays are key to so-called direct-to-consumer genetic testing kits used by the U.S. by DNA home testing companies like 23andMe and Ancestry.com, which encourage people to send in saliva samples that are tested to determine the likeness of the customer's mite. So, going into this next one, there is essentially China's been gathering all of this data from everywhere and hacking data from everyone. They have been on this huge obsession, like an arch nemesis, just like something out of a movie, trying to get all of this DNA data. This is actually going over how China's gene giant harvests data from millions of pregnant women. A Chinese gene company selling prenatal tests around the world developed them in collaboration with the country's military, and is using them to collect genetic data from millions of women for sweeping research on the traits of the populations. A Reuters review of the scientific papers of the company's statements found. U.S. government advisors warned in March that a vast bank of genomic data that the company BGI Group is amassing and analyzing with artificial intelligence could give China a path to economic and military advantage. Why? This is where it comes in. As science pinpoints new links between genes and human traits, access to the biggest, most diverse set of human genomes is a strategic edge. The technology could propel China to dominate global pharmaceuticals and also potentially lead to genetically enhanced soldiers or engineered pathogens to target the U.S. population or food supply. Has found that BGI's prenatal test, one of the most popular in the world, is a source of genetic data for the company, which has worked with the Chinese military to improve population quality and genetic research to combat hearing loss and altitude sickness in soldiers. BGI says that it stores and reanalyzes leftover blood samples and genetic data from the prenatal tests, sold at least 52 countries to detect abnormalities such as Down syndrome in the fetus. The tests, branded NIFTY for non-invasive fetal trisomy, trisomy Y, also capture genetic information about the mother as well as the personal details such as her country, height, weight, but not her name. BGI computer code viewed by shows. So far, more than 8 million women have taken BGI's prenatal test globally. So, again, gathering in that way. And then, of course, China's massive effort to collect its people's DNA concerns scientists. It says a report revealing China's effort to collect DNA from millions of men to help solve crimes is raising concerns among researchers about privacy and consent. They say that people have little control over how their information is used and probably do not understand the implications that DNA collection has for their families. Chinese state media first reported that the government's intention to construct a national forensic DNA database in 2017, but a report released on 17th of June compiled by the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, ASPI, a think tank in Canberra, reveals the scale, the key details of the operation for the first time. For several years, police have been collecting DNA from men and school-aged boys across the country. They aim to collect and store genetic profiles of roughly 10% of the country's male population, as many as 70 million people. It says the report estimates that those DNA profiles can be used to construct genetic links to China's entire male population, roughly 700 million people. The Chinese government says the database will help to track down criminals who are mostly male. But the report also describes the operation as part of a government efforts to deepen social control. Deepen social control. Remember, what they are finding out now, they can actually change attitudes. They can change behavior with these DNA, with the stuff that they're playing around with now. And there's no red tape in China. They don't have any, political vote on this. If Xi says it's done, it's done. Bible Talk for Common People says, all I can say is biblical times at the door. Wake up, people. I believe that 100%. Bible Talk for Common People. Thank you. LSR, thank you for subscribing. Lucid Farms says, military shots were fired in northeast Pennsylvania from 7 p.m. to 7:30 Saturday. So close, I seen the sky lighting up and drove to the site. Explosions, then bang, bang, fire 3 times. Cold Cracker, feel me? I don't know if you said sat or you sat there. Email me, please. Mr. Faultline, thank you for subscribing. And then we've got Darren Copeland, Adventure Prepper. Thank you, guys. Make sure to sign up with NordVPN through Adam's link or just even solo. I dropped a tweet about how Frugal can regionally target essentially everything. That is true. Grand Brooks Simmons, thank you for stopping in. Save Yourselves Sheeple says Facebook equals critical face theory. That's pretty good. Victor Gal, Samson's Animal House. Check out my raccoons and miniature horses, macaws. Craig Alicious, Facebook is changing his name. Got that one. So, what do you think about what do you think about this, Dex?
Yeah, so Adam, we basically set the stage, right? If you just listen to what we've said, we've talked about this thing called naked DNA, which is a mechanism by which you can change genetic information and you can deploy it into a human, all right, and target things. We've talked about this country collecting as much genetic information as possible, obviously trying to get the blueprint of as many people out there, which if you don't have that, then you can't create these types of things that do stuff, whether they do good or they do bad, right? So now let's talk specifically about what's happened from the military perspective. And I think the next thing we have is titled, this is a document. It's actually published on the Army Military Journal of Science. Okay. It's an older document written by Colonel Guizhe Wei from the People's Lib Army of China. And he talks, the title of it is the Ultra Micro, Non-Lethal and Reversible Looking Ahead to Military Biotech. All right. And Adam, we've highlighted a few things in this article so that you don't have to read this white paper, so to speak. So you don't have to read the whole thing. And we've got the whole thing published on the website. But let's go over some of those highlighted areas real quick.
Direct integration. University of Wisconsin scientists have made exogenous naked DNA and injected it into veins for easy access into muscle cells for gene therapy. By combining this knowledge and particle gun technology, we could create a microbullet out of a 1 tungsten or gold ion on whose surface plasmid DNA or naked DNA could be precipitated and deliver that bullet via a gunpowder explosion, electron transmission, or high-pressured gas to penetrate the body's surface. It says we could then release DNA molecules to integrate with the host cells through blood circulation and cause disease or injury by controlling genes. They could cause disease or injury through controlling genes. And then the next part, specificity of wounding. Precision injury is an embodiment of specificity. Says HGP and proteomics have greatly enriched bioinformation. If we acquire a target's genome and proteome information, including those of ethnic groups or individuals, we could design a vulnerating agent that attacks only key enemies without doing any harm to ordinary people. We could also confine the attack to a more precise level. Injuries might be limited to a specific gene sequence or specific protein structure. Through gene manipulation, we can attack or injure one or more key human physiological functions. The ability to learn, memorize, keep one's balance, or perform fine motor activities, and even act aggressively without a threat to life. So they don't even have to, they could do something to you to make you actually a zombie, like go and just be aggressive to everybody. Or they could take away your ability to learn. This is a part of the brain they could just switch off without hurting you.
Absolutely. And as you go into the next section, I just want to remind people, this is coming from a Chinese colonel who studies what they're doing with this and designing what they're doing with this for military applications. This is not just, oh, let's make, health better in the hospitals.
Controllability and recoverability. Unlike weapons that use ammunition, whose damaging effects can only be ascertained after shooting, we can test in a laboratory the degree of damage biotechnological weapons produce. We can control the degree of injuries and damage produced, and even provide an antidote or a cure, or a counter-vulnerating agent, or a piece of information. Providing such an anodyne to our enemies would represent real mercy. Now, I didn't think about it before, but what if that's... No, I'm not even going to say it. You know what I'm saying? What if the original thing 2 years ago was that, and the thing now is that? And it's kind of crazy because it does have something in there. And then they talked about a PCR product in here, and then to test for this, it's that test. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. But that would mean that that thing is a good thing, and that it fixes the bad thing. Like that's the antidote to the bad thing, right? Difficulty in taking precautions. Because of sheer number of living bodies, military biotechnology can use the reformed, managed gene order or protein structure is like a specially made lock. Only the developer has the key, and it is difficult for enemies to unlock. It says not yet an instrument of military power. It says military biotechnology has not yet become an instrument of military power. The laws, rules, and essential qualities of modern biotechnology have not been clarified. We cannot use or control it at our will. Progress is still needed in supporting areas such as military information technologies and material science. Even so, the increased pace of the development of modern biotechnology tells us that the day on which we will begin to make full military use of its advantages are not too far off.
Okay, not too far off. That's not very far off. This document was written not very long ago either, okay? It was not written this week. This was written a few years back, right? Many years back. That's how much development they've been doing. So
this is 2005.
There you go, 2005. So 2005, guys, we're talking about something that they were doing and talking about in great detail in 2005. They've been doing it for a lot longer than that. Probably all the major countries have been doing some form of this. But for them to say it's not too far off, and here we are.
And so now Dex, you can go over the scientific risk assessment of genetic weapon systems, and then I'll scroll down. So this is
So this is yet another document. This was a very large PDF, and
by
Adam,
the way,
what we're showing on the screen, we've cut the pages out just to get to the stuff we want to highlight. But all of this is on our website.
But yeah, any of the cut parts, just in case somebody goes, hey, there's missing pages. The whole thing, we have done this for time, and so I didn't have to scroll through 50 pages. But again, the full document, unedited, uncut, is on our website. You can go to do it yourself. Okay, so let's go down to the first highlighted area, and then, Dex, I'm going to have you talk about this. As the weaponization of biological bodies will become a reality in the future, non-traditional combat styles will take stage. Biological frontier will now become the new high frontier of national defense. Dex.
Okay, so they're basically saying biotech is the next way of militarization, right? And I'll just keep reading. Biotechnology will make biological weaponization a reality. New non-traditional forms of confrontation, such as these types of attacks and destruction and ecological control, will become possible. And it's the frontier, right? They're going to break. It will break through the traditional national security and national defense boundaries. So think about that. Like we just mentioned earlier, that they can design this stuff, and only the person who designs it has the key to unlock it. In other words, only that person can create an antidote. You can't defend against this.
And certain countries don't have to sign off on it. They don't have to worry about a woke brigade saying, hey, we can't do this, it's wrong. There's one man who decides or doesn't decide if they do it. And it's definitely not Mr. B.
And so you may think, and Adam, I think you can jump to the next section. You may think that, oh, well, we've got things like the Geneva Conventions and other stuff that sort of protect us. And while certainly, we all raise our hands and say we're going to abide by that and we're not going to do anything bad. But specifically, even China said, hey, we're not going to do this. But then they also come out and say, that they should not hesitate. And go ahead if you want to read that, Adam.
It says a revolutionary impact on weapons and equipment, combat, space, warform, military theory, etc. The biological military revolution will be the first military revolution since mankind entered the new millennium. And the first military revolution started by biotechnology in nearly 5,000 years. Now, this is, by the way, this is on a government website. That is linked there. This next part.
Yeah, this is the key part. This is what I was talking about. Sorry.
No, go ahead. So this is where the PLA. This is in our documents, and it's talking about the PLA. Go ahead.
Yeah, so China should not hesitate if it should have to defend itself to use as many means of warfare as possible, including these type of weapons that are not permitted by international law and rules of war, such as chemical and biological weapons. So that is the point. That while they raise their hand and say, we're good and we'll abide by the rules, they outright say that no matter what, if they're going to defend themselves or do anything for themselves, for their mandate, for their own, any excuse that they have, they don't have to abide by the laws, and they choose not to. So say one thing and do another.
They're directly saying that we could use this, and this is on the table for us. We don't care if it's not on the table for anybody else. And then on our side, we are preparing for them to use this kind of bio event. Again, there's no way to defend against it. Well, there is. One way would be to not let them get it in you, right? Which is kind of crazy.
Well, I don't even know. It sounds to me like you wouldn't even know if it was in you, right? They have technology that they can actually put this in you without you knowing, right? That's what's so crazy about this. So we're the rest of this. The one thing that was also in this document, and I'm kind of jumping ahead, Adam, for the sake of time.
We're out of time.
Is that we're running out of time here, but we've covered the most important. You guys get the picture, right? How serious this is, and how much they've been doing this for many years, right? And just think about all the things that have come together now. The other thing is that, Russia has also been doing this, right? So, and while publicly, and at least what's been stated, is it's not been as elaborate as what we've seen with China. So while we should think that, I'm sure the US has this technology, I'm sure Russia has this technology, but it is absolutely clear that China is very much out in the forefront and talking about making this. And we've seen what they've done when it comes to ethnicity and what their concerns are about that in their own country and with other people around the world. We certainly, they are not the gold star standard when it comes to that kind of stuff.
They take certain ethnic groups and they put them in essentially cages.
Exactly. So when you think about giving them a tool, or them creating a tool and creating a database that gives them the ability to control and manipulate anybody of any type, and being able to create, hey, I want to go after this one ethnic group, or I want to go after males of a certain stature, or I want to, make these people not be able to walk. They can do that. And that's what they're designing here. And that's a pretty scary future when it comes to this type of technology.
Absolutely shocking stuff here that nobody would even believe would ever be used, or for people to even think about using this. It is very possible. I just want to stress that, of course, this is information that is being put together by experts. It is not a fact yet, and hopefully it's never going to. I can't say it. I can't say that because we know what they're doing. I mean, you don't gather all that information for no reason. But I also don't want to have people, use your best judgment, okay? Do your own research on this as well. We give you all of the links. We give you all of the information. I do want to say I missed Jeff P's comment. In fact, I believe we had to pop in. So I just want to say, Jeff P, thank you for your support. Jeff P, if you guys haven't checked out his channel, he said, check out Club K. It's a Russian design that had 4 long-range missiles launched from inside a shipping container, just like the ones anchored off our coastlines. Jeff P, I've actually, I've shown videos of like how they animated what it would do. They can put them on trucks. They can put them on boats. They can put them on, of course, trains. So you have a trifecta there. They could put them in 3 different places, 3 different transports, and nobody would know. Pretty crazy stuff. So if one doesn't, I mean, you would have redundancy. So if one gets caught, the others wouldn't. And
Adam, hey, we've run out of time on YouTube, just so you know.
Did it cut?
It not yet. I can cut it, and everybody, I just want people can jump over to Jams and pick up the last bit of this.
I just want to say thank you, Simply Pony, Project Exodus, David Bennett. Make sure you subscribe to Marfoogle Jams. The live show will continue over there. Again, thank you. And then Kathy Chavez Ochoa, thank you so much. Gone Girl 777, thank you. Susan Donahue, thank you guys. I appreciate you. And then everyone else, I will see you over on Jams. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. All information is available at marfooglenews.com.